We adopted her from
Amish people.
What is going on? Is that me? Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. We found our clip to open the show. And I think that's just a great start to the podcast. So welcome to episode 18 of the Fourth and Long-Winded Podcast. It's a new trend where I'm just going to start whenever Cody does something funny. Cody, how you doing? How you doing this week?
Good. I put in my 2 weeks notice at work.
Hell yeah.
So
How'd
I'm
that
gonna be it. I'll be honest. Like I like the people I work with, and I like my boss. So that part of it kind of sucked. Like it wasn't like where I had a bad boss situation. It wasn't a bad like I don't like this place kind of thing. It's just a better opportunity for me, more money, and they kind of they didn't try, and I didn't think that they would try to negotiate. I think it was a good kind of mutual parting.
Clean cut. That's always good.
Yeah.
It's always
so my last day is next Friday, and then I have my bachelor party.
Hell yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that.
And week 1 of college football. I mean,
yeah, I know.
It's gonna be a hell of a week for you.
It's gonna be like, and then I'm taking off a whole week afterwards.
Oh yeah.
So I have a whole week to just fucking process.
Hell yeah.
The first weekend of college football. I'm gonna go into so many deep dives. Like whoever is in the top 10 that loses in the first week, I'm so excited to read those message boards.
The tone of that week could change dramatically if Miami.
So much.
If Miami beats.
Imagine if Alabama loses to Miami.
That'd be pretty mind blowing. I feel like it's not as crazy. At week 1, Alabama's got a bunch of new guys. Miami's got a pretty experienced roster actually. So I'm not saying I wouldn't be shocked, but I'm not saying it's impossible.
I'd be pretty shocked, but also I can. Okay. Maybe.
I was talking more like if Miami of Ohio beat Cincinnati.
Oh right, yeah. I mean, maybe.
Yeah. All right. Well, anyways, in this week's episode, we're going to be talking about some news items from this past week, including the biggest news: Big Ten, ACC, Pac-12 announcing their alliance. And then we'll also be previewing Week 0 college football. College football's this weekend. We have some games to watch. They're not great, but we have some football.
Hey, any football is better than no
is
football.
good. Maybe except
better than the Little League World Series.
This might be the first time in a while I just haven't watched the Little League World Series. I don't know what it is.
I actively avoid the Little League World Series. It's like cancer to me.
Yeah.
It gives me cancer.
Wow, that's a little aggressive. Just a tad aggressive. Apologize to the kids.
I don't want to watch children play a boring sport. So
now you're taking shots at baseball. I didn't want to fight today, Cody.
ESPN is forcing me to watch children play a sport.
You know, you have a choice. You don't have. They're not forcing you to watch it.
ESPN is forcing me to watch it.
Why don't you sue them then?
It wouldn't do anything.
Okay. All right. Well, on that note, let's get into our smooth transition into our news of the week. I'll take the first item. The SEC is apparently they're like the only major conference. Has the Big Ten announced a game cancellation policy?
I'll look it up.
Okay. The SEC is still working on their game cancellation policy, and according to Andy Staples of The Athletic, one idea being considered is if your team forfeits and it costs the league TV money, your school could receive a smaller revenue share than the ones who didn't forfeit, which I think there's just forfeiting a game, which like all these other conferences are doing, and then it's like, no, we're taking money away from you if these games are canceled. So extra motivation. I
like it. I really like it.
Yep, I agree.
I have seen some progressive shit come out of the SEC, and I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Like, this should not be happening here, but it is, and it's cool. Like, I think LSU announced this week that they're requiring anyone in the stadium to be vaccinated. Like,
No,
one, are
not
they
anybody.
hiring like
It's
150 new people to like enforce and make that happen?
it's people. It's only people over the age of 12, but still, they're gonna need a lot more people at the entrances.
Security, a lot more. I mean, people like, because you have to submit it too to like get your ticket, from what I understand. So like they're gonna have to process that and everything. Like, that's a lot.
I can't imagine that's gonna go over totally well, knowing the fan base.
Who cares?
Yeah, very good point. I did see that Florida is not following the same rule, but that's just,
I mean, that doesn't surprise me
that's
at all.
just Florida. Florida, fucking wild, wild west. You want to go with a news topic? Or do you want me to go with another one?
Go ahead and do. By the way, the Big Ten. I looked it up.
Okay.
They did come out with their rules on Monday.
Is it like just like the Pac-12, ACC, just
Big COVID-19 related game cancellations in 21-22 will not be rescheduled. Will be ruled forfeits or no contests.
Gotcha. And is there anything?
Essentially, yeah.
Is there anything about whose decision it is? Is there something about like if it's the team's fault? Like I know the Pac-12.
I'm going through it right now in collaboration and communication
or
conference. If one of its member institutions is unable to play a contest due to COVID-19, that contest shall be declared a forfeit and will not be rescheduled.
So there's not. I like that more than what the Pac-12 did with like it's up to the commissioner to determine if like the team's at fault. Like
that's silly. But also the Big Ten will change the rules if Ohio State has forfeited 3 games.
Very good point.
I guarantee that 100%. Also, if both teams are unable to participate, it'll be ruled a no contest.
Gotcha.
So if I am any other team, I'm waiting until Saturday at 11 to announce how many COVID cases I have.
Yeah.
So that, the other team announces it first.
Yeah. See what the other. Yeah, there's going to be some gamesmanship. All right, I'll get one more topic out of the way, and then we'll jump over to you. It's pretty self-involved. My Purdue Boilermakers finally announced a starting quarterback. It's going to be Jack Plummer. Jeff Brom did not seem thrilled or supremely confident in this decision, which just instills me with so much confidence looking forward to the season. I was already leaking confidence, but he said there was a quote that came out a couple days ago where he was just, I tweeted about it from our Fourth and Long-Winded account. Go follow us on Twitter at 4 and Long-Winded. But I tweeted and he said, we're going to name we have made the decision on the starting quarterback and we're going to announce it in a couple days. And then he also later said, but we're also willing. We're willing to use multiple quarterbacks. We're willing to change quarterback. I was like, if you're gonna just announce the quarterback and say nothing else, if you would have just done that, I would have been at least somewhat confident.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, shut the fuck up, Jeff Brom. Like, you don't know what you're doing at this point.
3 defensive coordinators.
It's obvious, and like, it shows. Like, here's the thing. I'm Purdue's AD. We've had what now 3 years of Jeff Brom? How many years there?
4 or 5.
4 years? 4 or 5? I don't know how long he's been there. It's been too long. He's definitely on the hot seat. Gotta be. And he's once again showing that he probably isn't going to be competent.
No, this is his 5th season. He's entering his 5th season.
Yeah, I mean, he had a couple. His first few years were good, right? Like
first 2 years were 500, 7-6 first year, 6-7 second.
Yeah,
and that's as good as it's been.
They're not getting better.
No,
and unfortunately, with college football, it is 5 years. Yeah, that's 6 years. He's probably gonna get this year, unless they markedly improve, which I don't see happening. With their lead, because they're in the West, right?
Yeah.
I can't remember. Yeah, they're in the West. I don't see it happening.
No.
I think the West is just better than Purdue, like almost every team.
I can't argue with that. we'll talk a little bit about two of the teams in the West later because they play this weekend,
Yeah.
Nebraska, Illinois. But
Yeah.
what's yours? What's
So,
your news topic
well, did I have anything else to say on that?
about
I
Purdue's
don't have
starting
anything.
quarterback? I hope not. We've already spent way too much time on Purdue's starting quarterback.
Yeah, you're not wrong. All right, so my news, I saw a quote from Brian Kelly today, and it was on like raising or elevating people of color. So he was, I don't remember the exact question, but it was something along the lines of, what are your opinions on being
Diversification.
diversity and that kind of thing in college football, especially at the coaching level. And he basically said, well, my defensive coordinator is African American, and he's one of the best defensive coordinators in the country. I'm confident of that. And basically so much so that he's going to be the next head coach at Notre Dame. And I found that really interesting.
He said that it's Marcus Freeman, right?
Yeah. He said, and he's like, I'll see if I can find the exact quote.
So it's basically like, was he hinting at a retirement in the next couple of years, or I mean,
I don't know. I don't know if he was hinting at retirement or I don't think he's hinting at retirement, but here I've got it now.
We'll wait.
It's loading.
It's all right. Take your time.
So it was quoted by Brett McMurphy, who is a college football insider.
He's a guy. He's a college football guy.
Yeah, a big college football guy. And geez, he tweets a lot.
Got to scroll back.
Can I just see the damn tweet? Okay, I can't find it.
Okay. I think you summarized it pretty well. It's pretty basic.
Yeah.
I think that's interesting. It's great if you're a Marcus Freeman guy. I think it's probably upsetting if you're a UC fan because there's constant rumors of Luke Fickell being hired away, and you've talked about the obvious replacement is Marcus Freeman, hiring him back as the head coach. But if I was Marcus Freeman, I'd rather be the head coach of Notre Dame than Cincinnati. That's not That's not a shocking thing for me to say, but
no, I completely agree. It's pretty hard to say no to Notre Dame. I honestly, I'll be honest, it makes a lot of sense because when in this past off season, when Marcus Freeman was hired at Notre Dame, he was being LSU was courting him and then Notre Dame kind of got in there once their defensive coordinator left to take the head coaching position at Vanderbilt. And the general, it wasn't an overly confident feeling, but a lot of people around the situation were kind of well, between UC and LSU, with the team that UC has versus the team that LSU has, there's a possibility that he stays at Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Because he had such a great relationship with Luke Fickell, worked with them for years at Ohio State and then at UC. And then Notre Dame entered the picture, and it's Notre Dame has entered the chat.
Yeah.
And things changed. And it was he's going to go to Notre Dame.
Yeah.
I have no proof or anything behind the whole not going to go to LSU, but there was this general feeling that okay, it's a 50-50.
Yeah.
And then Notre Dame comes calling, and it's okay, he's probably going to go to Notre Dame.
So that makes me think maybe Brian Kelly, when he went through the hiring process, is hey, I might be retiring here in the next couple of years, and you're my strong recommendation to be the next head coach. I don't know if he can guarantee him the job because it's not really up to Brian Kelly to.
So here's the thing. The president at Notre Dame is pretty solidly footed. He's not going to be going anywhere.
He doesn't fall anywhere. He's balanced.
I mean, like the president of Notre Dame, the president of the university.
Yeah, you said he's
Is
solid-footed, so I asked like.
Yeah, he's solidly footed in his position. He's probably not going to be fired or leaving for another job. He likes being at Notre Dame. He's going to be there a while. So what happens when the Notre Dame athletic director decides that he wants to retire or move on?
Brian Kelly could move.
Brian Kelly can move into that position, and then he gets the choice of the football coach.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like obviously all speculation, but like it wouldn't put me behind it. I wouldn't put it be past them to do that.
No.
Or to have like these kind of backdoor deals.
Gentleman's agreement.
Yeah, gentleman's agreement, that kind of thing. Plus, honestly, like we kind of all knew years prior to, at least a year or two prior to Urban Meyer leaving Ohio State, that Ryan Day was going to be the next head coach at Ohio State.
Yeah.
We were confident about that, and look how that's worked out.
I think that's the way these big time conference or these big schools are going to be doing it. Like they're going to bring in a guy a couple years early and groom him, and like whenever Nick Saban eventually does retire and move on, we're gonna know who his replacement is a couple years before that happens.
Yes. Yeah, and so that's really kind of where I'm seeing like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. Like exactly, when Nick Saban retires, that's exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah.
He's going to choose someone that's going to be on his staff that he wants. So
yeah, that's interesting though. It's good for if you're a Marcus Freeman guy or you're a member of his family. That's great news for him.
I'm a fan of Marcus Freeman. I want him to succeed. He's
preferably
really
for Cincinnati, but
yeah. you gotta do what's right for your family.
Very true.
I get it.
Notre Dame probably pays a hell of a lot more.
A lot more.
Yeah. All right, you got any more news topics? Before we move into the big one.
No.
The big one.
No, I don't.
All right, let's talk alliance. Let's talk alliances. Big Ten, ACC, Pac-12 announced officially that they will be forming an alliance. It's going to be focused on men's and women's basketball and football, but they will make an attempt to work together in Olympic sports and all other sports as well. So basically reading from an announcement on the Big Ten's website from the Big Ten, the Football Scheduling Alliance will feature additional attractive matchups across the three conferences while continuing to honor historic rivalries and the best traditions of college football. And women's and men's basketball, the three conferences will add early and mid-season games as well as annual events that feature premier matchups between the three leagues. The three conferences will also explore opportunities for the vast and exceptional Olympic sports programs to compete more frequently and forge additional attractive and meaningful rivalries. Basically, they're forming a super conference.
Yeah. So here's my thing about this. I think it'd be cool if on each team's schedule they had like a crossover matchup, but it's not set until the previous year is over.
Like the standings are set and
yeah. So like
a record based.
It would be awesome if they were based off of the prior year's record.
Yeah.
That won't happen.
No, the bottom dwellers.
That will not happen.
No, the bottom teams won't let that happen.
No,
they'll just end up playing to each other.
That won't happen. But man, would that be cool for some interesting matchups?
Like, we're gonna get them.
I mean, you're gonna get them, sure, but like, it'd be cool if we got them every single year. Kind of like how like college basketball literally does have that.
Yeah.
Like, we get to see the number 1 and number 2 team play in the regular season often, despite which conference they are in.
Yeah, they usually organize the preseason tournaments in college basketball and figure out a way to get at least a handful of the top 10 teams to play.
10, 25 teams, yeah. Be awesome.
Yeah.
Like, I think that would be really cool. Or maybe even they just, like, reserve a couple matchups in neutral site games. Or, like...
I think, we'll probably see an increase in some neutral site games and probably, I don't know. Well, I really don't know how this is going to work.
I don't either. I think it's going to be
Essentially,
really neat.
essentially, it's just like a super conference. It's going to be, I think, 41 total teams through the
Yeah.
three conferences, and it's basically a super conference, but each conference gets to continue to hold its identity and like traditions, and
Yeah.
they're,
So
they're better than Texas, Oklahoma, who just dipped.
I think that like honestly, I think this muddies down the water a little bit for the Big Ten in their footing as the second best conference.
I think
I
this will stand to prove that the Big Ten is the second best conference for sure, because they'll just be able to,
oh yeah, pummel them. Right, right.
except
But
for Clemson, I guess.
like you know how when you see like the popular kid in school and he associates himself with the kid who makes like cat noises and hisses at people, their standings a little thrown off, right?
Yeah, by
So like
association.
that's kind of the way I see this, because frankly, like the Pac-12, if the if the American and the Big 12 join forces, I think that's a better football conference than the Pac-12.
Yeah, I don't agree with that. I mean, I know there's a little bit of bias from your point of view in that statement. I think
There's complete bias in that, but like up top to bottom, that conference would be better at football than the Pac-12. Because the Pac-12 has two top programs and that's it. Always. Like they have two programs
how
that are
many
good in every single
how
year.
many top programs will that new hybrid conference have? I don't consider
Well, we don't
Iowa
know.
State a top program. I don't consider Oklahoma State a top program. I don't consider
I
Cincinnati.
consider them to be very, very good.
Yeah, but
Probably
they're
better
not.
than
They're not
most
Oregon.
of the Pac-12.
They're not Oregon. Well, okay.
They kind of are. I truthfully believe that either of those teams, give them 10 games against Oregon. Either of those teams, I think both teams walking away with 5 out of 10 wins. Like I do.
50-50. So you're not saying they're better. You're saying they're equal.
Yeah.
Okay. I'd still
And
consider the
that,
Pac-12 a better conference.
huh?
I'd still consider the Pac-12 a better conference.
I mean, that's fair. I mean, you can have that opinion. It's wrong, but you can have it.
I will have it, and I am right. We need to organize a Pac-12, whatever they call this, Big 12, Big 8, or Big AAC. They call it the Big AAC, the Big AAC conference. They need to just set 1 year aside where everybody plays each other, and we could figure this out.
Yeah.
Once and for all.
But regardless of that, where I was going with that point,
Yeah, we went off on a
is
tangent.
that the Big Ten is obviously the second best conference besides the SEC. So I just don't understand why, when you are sitting at that level, why you wouldn't say, well, maybe we shouldn't align ourselves with this conference.
I think it's
alliance, because then what if we wanted to go cherry pick a couple teams from the ACC, or what if we wanted to cherry pick a team or two from the Pac-12, when we actually need to have a real formal super conference? Because you can't have I mean, 40 teams is too many teams for a super conference, and that's like a death metal conference.
But see, I think this is a good solution to the super conference, and like this is a good compromise. If this was gonna happen, I'd rather it happen this way than all these teams leaving their conferences and forming one big super conference, because at least we still get that tradition of like Ohio State, Big Ten.
Yeah.
Those two things are synonymous. Oregon, USC, Pac-12. That's immediately what you think. Clemson, Florida State, like you think AC. So there's still some of that tradition. Like
Sure,
it's gonna take me a long time to really feel like Texas and Oklahoma are SEC teams.
Yeah, I agree with that entirely. Still just don't think it's a good fit. But honestly,
I think it's proactive. I think it's progressive. I think it's looking forward, and I think it's doing it in a way that's not going to piss off your hardcore fans who are all about the tradition.
Sure.
because you're going to stay in the Big Ten. You're still going to have, and I think the way they're going to do it is they're still going to have your normal conference slate. So you're still going to play. How many conference games does the Big Ten play? 8, I think, 8 or 9, something like that. So you're still going to have that, but instead of going to play freaking Bowling Green to start your season, you'll play USC, and you know what? That's better for everybody because we get to watch Oregon play Purdue. Yeah, better football, more exciting football. So I think it's a good compromise.
I think the reason that I'm so like negative on it is because, as I mentioned in our like college football in our earlier podcast where we talked about the conference carousel and the teams leaving and going, I mentioned one of the things that I fear is that the group of 5 gets left behind, and I think this is the beginning of that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And I don't see this as any sort of chance that any of those power conferences expand to include some of the teams that probably should be.
There's no benefit to the bigger conferences.
Power conference. Like there are quite a few teams in the group of 5 that are good enough and probably should be competing against some of these teams. I think mainly like Boise State. I think Central Florida.
But I do think that the playoff, and especially the expanded playoff, and if we can, with the most recent proposed formula of like this 6 conference champions and 6 at large, where we're still going to get, especially if Big 12 goes away and is replaced by a Big 12 AAC hybrid, and that becomes the 5th big conference.
But the thing is, the problem with that is, like, most of the stakeholders have now cooled on that expanded playoff. Like Kevin, I think his name's Kevin Warren, the Big Ten commissioner.
Yeah.
Like came out and said, I think that we should cool it. And then Gene Smith, who I don't think his opinion should fucking matter when it comes to this, but he's like, no, we definitely shouldn't be talking about the playoff expansion.
Well, of course, Ohio State does it.
Year.
Yeah.
And I don't want anyone else in it.
Of course,
like,
Ohio State's
Your opinion doesn't matter to me. Like, of course you don't. I think an expanded playoff because you are your entire team is one conference, or your entire conference is one team.
Yeah. I do think I had a thought just now. Let me try to get it back. Only one thought, and I lost it. I was gonna make a good point. Oh, I got it back. Oh, so I think they're probably just delaying it. I know that you say they've softened. They're probably just kind of delaying it and waiting to see how this conference realignment plays out before they can, because that original proposed idea was based on a system and a conference alignment that was
different.
Now is just ancient history. Like it was 6 months ago, but now it's just ancient history. So I think there would definitely be an expanded playoff because there's demand for it. There's so much more money to be made for everybody through it. So I think probably they'll reopen those discussions after all the conference realignment and alliances.
I just worry
the dust is settled.
I just worry about the smaller teams.
I'm there with you. I think
really where it is.
I'm not even really worried about like the Cincinnati's and like the Boise States. It's the level below, anywhere below that.
MAC. It's the MAC. It's the Sun Belt. It's the
Mountain West.
Yep. Like there are some compelling matchups and teams in those conferences that in the past have been incredible football teams.
Yeah.
And because of the way that the money in college football has flowed, some of those programs are now relics of what they used to be.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a real shame because, I mean, I don't know, like the University of Chicago used to be a power in football.
I mean, that was like fucking...
Now they don't even have athletics.
That was like
which that was their own choice, but still, like...
One of the founding members of the Big Ten.
They are, yeah. It's just those kind of things are sad to see happen, especially when they have absolutely no control or power to change their lot.
I'm sorry, I just have literally no connection to the University of Chicago. I don't.
Oh, I don't either.
I just don't.
I wasn't saying the University of Chicago. Like I'm mainly thinking about like Colorado State or San Diego State or
It
UNLV.
might sound harsh, but I honestly could. I don't. It wouldn't. It would. I would not notice if they were gone.
Oh, I would. I would notice. I'm also one of those people that gets up, well, stays up late to watch every single Hawaii game.
Yeah.
So like, I love the small time football.
I mean, that's
football because it's bad football. Like I love bad football. It's some of my favorite football to watch.
I love great football. That's why I tend to like the NFL more than college. I still love college football, but I prefer the NFL. But I don't know. A lot of shit's changing in college football, and yeah, it's only going to continue.
It's a fun conversation. Don't get me wrong. As long as college football still exists, I'm going to watch it. I just think that we could be living in you know how like you never know how good something is till it's gone, or like you look back like that was a really good year, and in that year you're like, this year fucking sucks.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I think is what I fear happening. More than anything with all of this. So anytime that there's a change that happens, I'm like, I don't know how I feel about this.
I think that's fair. I think that's very fair. All right, you got anything else on the alliance?
Just that the Pac-12 isn't expanding like anyone expected them to.
Yeah, that was the last news topic I had. It kind of paired with this alliance announcement. Sure. Not shocking at all that the Pac-12 says they won't expand now after the alliance. Yeah.
I still think they should have, in my opinion.
I just don't. None of the teams that are left over in the Big 8, as they're now going to be known, is an upgrade to any of those three conferences: the Big 10, ACC, or Pac-12.
So I personally think, as a fit, I don't think it's an upgrade, but as a fit-wise, I think Baylor and TCU match the Pac-12 profile.
Okay, I mean. Yeah.
I just think that I think that they would both be great teams to add to that conference. It would make for some very interesting matchups, and they don't really lose anything.
I'm not going to argue with that. There's just no way the teams do it.
No, they won't do that. No. They won't. I'm just saying.
In a dream
in an ideal world, that would have been awesome.
Scenario. I understand. All right. Well, let's take a quick break, and then we will move into our preview of Week 0 of the college football season.
Yeah, and those watching on YouTube are gonna get a bonus look at mine and my fiance's new pug.
Ooh. All right, we're back here, and we have Cody's newest dog. Look at that cute little girl. Look at her. Isn't she adorable? Doesn't have a name yet.
No name. Nameless pug.
He's like, or she's like, what the hell's going on? Why am I on TV? Dad, why am I on TV?
That is exactly what she's thinking. She's obsessed with my fiance.
Oh yeah?
If my fiance was here, she would not have even like been willing to do that.
No attention paid to you.
None at all.
Yeah.
I got home, she looked at me, and then just ran to my fiance.
How'd that feel?
It's kind of adorable, but like also what the heck?
Yeah.
We adopted her from
Amish people.
Or one size fits all. IBM is helping insurers.
What is going on? Is that me? Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. We found our clip to open the show. All right, you ready to move into the 5 games on this Saturday? We got 5 actual real college football games this weekend.
Yes,
it is officially back.
I'm really, really, really excited.
I mean, I'm ready to watch UConn get its ass kicked as well. So you want to start with the probably the biggest game of the weekend.
Wait, I wanna highlight the biggest game of the weekend.
So do that last.
Yeah, it's most definitely UTEP at New Mexico State.
I mean, I was gonna go with UConn and who are they playing? Fresno State.
No,
Okay.
it's definitely.
All right, we'll start with UTEP and New Mexico State.
Yeah. So, who you got?
I really didn't look into this game at all. I know New Mexico State's ranked as like one of the worst teams in the country. I also remember that they're really bad from our State of Conference series. So my pick is UTEP 34-20. I do have odds here for each of these games. I got these off of FanDuel. UTEP is minus 10.5, minus 400 on the money line. New Mexico State plus 300. Over under is 58.5. I am not betting on this game in any way, but my pick is UTEP 34-20.
I will bet this game, and I'm betting. What did you say? It was minus how much for the spread?
It is minus 10.5
And
for UTEP.
Minus, yeah. Oh, UTEP covers.
UTEP minus 10.5. All right.
Yeah, for sure.
I will write it down. We forgot to mention we're gonna make a throughout the season before each week we're gonna make a random number of bets and then total it up at the end of the season and see whoever wins, and whoever loses is gonna have to do something. We're not sure what that something is yet. We will let you know as soon as we figure out what that something is. But this will be a weekly thing where we're giving you our best bets of the week, and we're gonna keep track of it. So, all right. So I have to make a pick for that game then as well.
Yes.
And I picked him to win 34-20, so I guess I'll take UTEP minus 10.5 as well.
Okay.
So, yeah, I don't really have anything else to talk about that game. I'm not some El Paso expert over here. So, what game do you want to do next? You want to do my favorite game of the week, UConn and Fresno State?
I would
Okay.
like to do that game.
UConn at Fresno State. So I do have a couple notes on this one. UConn's playing its first game in 2 years. They did not play a game at all last year, and this
They're
is also
extra fresh.
yeah, it's super fresh. It's also the first time they're going to be playing as an independent, so that's kind of interesting. Not really. It's UConn.
Now they don't have money.
Fresno State enters after going 3-3 last season. They've been kind of picked to be in contention in their division in the Mountain West. They have a pretty good offense. UConn, on the other hand, is pretty terrible.
Yeah.
So I pick Fresno State to win this 48-13.
Ooh. All right.
I do not have a bet for this game. I did not choose to bet on this game.
I'm
Oh, the odds for this, or the
Yeah.
line. So UConn is plus 27.5 on the road at Fresno State. If you wanna hop on that Fresno State guaranteed money line, it's gonna cost you. It's minus 6,000. But if you're looking to make some money, get rich really quick, you can throw some money on plus 1,600 for UConn, and the over under is 62.5. So.
So I'm considering going and driving to Indiana because here in Ohio, sports betting is not legal. For our purposes, I will not be making a bet on this game. However,
Okay.
I am very much considering driving to take the under.
The under.
Of
Okay.
this game. I think this is going to be a very low scoring.
Okay. Well, that'll transition to the next game because I have the same opinion about this next game. Let's talk about the Hawaii UCLA game. That's probably the second most exciting game of the weekend. Maybe
It's definitely the second most
actually-
exciting game of the weekend.
No, I take that back. It's the second biggest game in terms of the quality of each team, but in
Yes.
terms of visual, I think this is going to be the most exciting game to watch for the weekend.
Yes, by far.
There's going to be a lot of points. UCLA, obviously, under Chip Kelly, they've shown kind of flashes of being really, really good, and they've also shown flashes of being really, really terrible. That's proven by... Here's a fun stat. Should we bring back our favorite segment?
How bad are they?
I'm going to need a little bit more enthusiasm than that.
No.
Okay. UCLA is 0-6 in non-conference games under Chip Kelly, including
Ooh.
including 0-2 against Mountain West teams.
Ooh. I was originally leaning UCLA because they're the home dogs.
Yeah, the line minus 17.5 for UCLA. They're minus 17.5 point favorites, minus 1250 on the money line. Hawaii's plus 710, and the over under is 68.5. That is a high over under.
All right, I'm taking this bet. Hawaii plus 17.
So I am betting on this game as well. I have decided not to go with one of the spreads, but I'm going to go under on that total. I'm going to take the under on 68.5.
Ooh.
I think
Okay.
I think that's really, really high for the first game of the season, where both these teams are kind of be working out some kinks. It's the first real game in over a year, so I don't think they reach that 68.5 point threshold. So I'm gonna take the under, despite both of these offenses being really, really good. I just don't see them reaching that total.
Lock fight. I'm going to bet you on that. I'm taking the over.
You're taking the over 60. What?
I'm taking the over on the record.
What is what? Okay. What is lock? What did you? What was the word you said? Lock.
Sorry. There's a couple podcasts I listen to where the picks are called locks, and when the people
disagree,
disagree, it's called a lock fight.
Gotcha. Okay. So we're in direct competition there. You're taking the over 68.5. I'm taking the under 68.
And then I'll go for like the overall yearly competition. I'll go ahead and like take away my bet on Hawaii plus 17.5.
Okay.
Just to, like,
this is already getting confusing, but all right.
Yeah.
All right. I don't really have anything else on that game. Hawaii is an interesting team this year. We've already talked about them in their Mountain West State of the Conference, but it is the first full season under Todd Graham, with the full off season and everything. So they got an exciting office. They got an exciting office. They got They got a nice printer. They got really comfortable chairs.
Yeah.
The receptionist is nice. Their offense is really good. So they're kind of a dark horse in the Mountain West.
Okay. I don't think they're a dark horse. They were in the Mountain West Championship game 2 years ago. So.
Under a different head coach.
Yeah, well.
Okay. So we got 2 games left: Illinois, Nebraska, and Southern Utah versus San Jose State. Let's do that one first. We'll leave the actual most competitive game of the weekend last. So Southern Utah is plus 24.5 point dogs at San Jose State. San Jose State, who went undefeated in the regular season last year, won their conference championship, then got upset by Ball State in the bowl game. Some betting stats for this San Jose State team. The under is 6-0 in the last 6 San Jose State games, so they hit the under the last 6 times. They were also 6-1-1 against the spread last season. So really, you can go either way. You can take the under. You can take San Jose State minus the points. They're really good in both situations. My pick is going to be the over-under for this game is 56.5. I'm going to take San Jose State under, or just the under on 56.5.
Yeah.
FBS, FCS opponent. I think it's going to be a blowout. So.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with you on that.
All right. Let's talk Nebraska, Illinois. This is a very interesting matchup to me. They're teams that desperately both need to get off to a good start, but there are 2 different reasons for why they both need to get off to a good start. Obviously, Scott Frost entering his 3rd or 4th year, something like that.
Yeah.
And it has not gone well for Scott Frost. There was a lot of expectations, a lot of enthusiasm after he turned UCF around, going, what were they, like 0-12 to
0-16. 0-12. They were 0-12. Yeah, sorry.
0-12 to 13-0 or whatever, 13-1
in one season.
Yeah, And it just has not worked at Nebraska. It hasn't clicked. They haven't been consistent. The offense, the high-flying offense that he had at UCF has not translated to the Big Ten. So I think he needs to get off to a really good start in this game, just to steady the fan base, make sure just calm everybody down a little bit. Brett Bielema is entering his first season as the Illinois head coach. He's back in the Big Ten, longtime Wisconsin head coach. He would love to start off his tenure with a nice dub against Nebraska, just rub it in their faces, get off on the right foot. So it's going to be a good game, I believe.
I think it's also going to be a good game. I'm very curious as to why the Big Ten allowed Nebraska and Illinois to start the
Well,
season.
this game was originally supposed to be played in Ireland, but it was canceled due to the pandemic. So they're just playing it as a normal Illinois home game. So that's why this game is being played now.
Why did they choose these two teams? Like, I guess actually I know why. They chose these two teams because they are big enough brands, but not good enough to win a national championship. So they don't want to risk like Ohio State going and like being tired or week one.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh well, these two teams, they're definitely not going to win a national championship.
Nebraska was good like 30 years ago. We'll throw them over there.
Yeah, like they probably heard of corn in Ireland.
That's probably the only thing they associate with Nebraska and Illinois in other countries. Is like, you guys just grow corn out there, right?
Corn.
That's very accurate. That's all they do in Nebraska is grow corn.
Yeah, and well.
Very well.
Fine.
They're really good at it. So they did play last year. Illinois and Nebraska played last year. This was under Lovie Smith, the head coach of Illinois at the time. Illinois did win that game. They kind of blew them out. It was 41-23. They went into Lincoln, Nebraska, and just swept the floor with the Cornhuskers. My expectation is that this is going to be a pretty ugly game. First game of the season. New head coach on one side. I think this is going to be a pretty ugly and messy game. I think the under is a nice look. I didn't go through the lines. Nebraska at Illinois. Nebraska is a -6.5 point favorite on the road at Illinois. -265 on the money line. Illinois is +210, and then the over/under is 54.5. So, like I said, I expect a pretty ugly physical game here. But I do think Illinois pulls the upset here. I'm gonna kind of hedge and take the points. My third and final bet of the day is gonna be Illinois +6.5. I think they win a close one.
I would also take that.
You're gonna take Illinois.
I also think that Illinois is going to beat Nebraska by at least 6.5 points.
At least you think? I mean, all we need for them is to lose by less than six or less points. So, I think it's kind of it made me scratch my head a little bit why Nebraska is
I will tell you why.
-6.5 point favorite on the road.
In 2019. Nebraska won one game and became ranked 20th.
Yeah. People just love Nebraska.
That's why.
Associate them
because
with good football.
They see, oh, it's a new season. Nebraska's going to be good.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that they haven't really been good in 30 years.
Yeah.
Like ESPN always has them like somewhere near the top 25, and it's like, why?
Yeah.
Because they
have you paid attention to Nebraska football for the last 20 years?
And that is why I'm about to go on a fucking rant, and that is why I don't understand why we talk about like recruiting rankings as being this like all-telling sign about how well you're going to be due. Nebraska recruits pretty well. They're bad. They're just bad.
That's why they play the games. That's why they play the games. But it's also why Alabama is like always really good.
Yeah, sure, it is. But also they develop those 5-star players.
Fair enough.
They make them better.
Fair enough. All right. That's all of the games this weekend. 5 games. I believe that they are all kind of staggered. They're not all at the same time or anything like that.
Yeah, they are all staggered. I think one starts at so Nebraska Illinois starts at 1. Then I think we get UConn Fresno State at 2 p.m.
Yep.
That's going to be an early game. That's an 11 a.m. game at Fresno.
At Fresno State, yeah. I'm sure they're really happy about that.
To play UConn. Like, come on. Then a 3:30 game at UCLA. Okay, that's a noon 30 game. And then we get I'm really excited for the UTEP New Mexico State game at 9:30. I'm going to be watching that from a bar. And then Southern Utah at San Jose State. I will probably not watch that game.
Fair enough. I will be asleep, I assume, by then. I have to work this weekend. I have to be up at
yes.
I have to be up at fucking 5 o'clock in the morning, so.
Gross.
Yep.
Gross.
All right. Well, that's gonna do it for this week.
I'm so excited for college football to be back.
It's back, baby. Look forward to next week. We're gonna have our big week 1 preview next week. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Share with your friends. Tell everybody that this podcast is the GOAT. Bye.
Bye.